Hello friends, today I am going to discuss about plant tissue and transport. So what is a tissue? A group of cells that are similar in structure in particular and or work together to achieve a particular functions forms a tissue. There are two types of tissues, that is your plant tissue and animal tissue. I am not going to discuss about animal tissue. I will discuss about plant tissue. Plant tissue have two types, that is meristematic and permanent. Again, permanent tissues are again two types, simple permanent and complex permanent. In this simple permanent tissues are three types, the parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Whereas complex permanent tissues are of two types, xylem and phloem. First we'll know what is the functions of plant tissues. They are supportive due to their structural strengths. They provide mechanical strength as most of tissues are dead. They provide flexibility to plant parts. They divide to produce new plants and growth as well. Provide cellular metabolism like photosynthesis, regeneration, respiration, etc. And they provide buoyancy to aquatic plants to help them float. Now, the first step is meristematic tissue. So, what is a meristematic tissue? The meristem or meristematic tissue is a type of tissues found in plants. It consists of undifferentiated cells capable of cell division. So, cells in meristems can develop into all other tissues and organs that occur in plants because of cell division. And differentiated plant cells generally cannot divide or produce cells of a different type. Meristem forms new cells in injured tissues and are responsible for wound healing. Unlike most animals, plants continue to grow throughout their lifespan because of unlimited division of meristematic regions. Here is a figure about the different types of meristems. So, meristems are classified based on their location in the plant as apical, lateral and intercalary. So, these apical meristems, they are present at root and shoot tips. And these lateral meristems, they are present in vascular and core cambia. And these intercalary meristems, they are present at internodes or stem regions between the places at which leaves attach and leaf base, especially of certain monocotyledons like grass. So, apical meristem give rise to primary plant body and are responsible for the extension of the roots and shoots. Whereas lateral meristems are known as secondary meristem because they are responsible for secondary growth or increase in stem girths and thickness. So, here is a figure of plant, and I will explain here where the shoot apical meristems or different meristems are present. This is the birds of the plant, and this apical shoot apical meristems are present here also. And in root apical meristems, you can see here at the tip of the roots, they are root apical meristems. Then intercalary meristems, they are present at the base of the leaves or in the internodes. If the plant is having internodes, they will be present in the internodes. And then lateral meristem, as I have told you, lateral meristems, they are present in vascular and core cambia. So, let us understand in details that apical meristems, they are responsible for increasing the growth tips of stems and root and increase length of the stems and root. Whereas lateral meristems, they increases the stem girth or root. And intercalary meristems, they are present base of the leaves or internodes. On either side of nodal twigs, they enable longitudinal growth of stems and leaves. So, in meristem tissue, there is no vacuole. Why? Because vacuole is a storage organ and its main function is to store nutrients, that it has no role in cell division. Hence, vacuole is absent. Let us understand a few more things about meristem. Meristematic cells are typically small and they are nearly spherical. They have dense cytoplasm. The cells that emanate from the apical meristems are arranged in lineages of partially differentiated tissue known as primary meristems. Apical meristem may differentiate three kinds of primary meristems. Again, there is protoderm, procambium and ground meristem. Protoderm, it lies outside the stem and develops into epidermis, whereas procambium just lies inside the protoderm and develops into primary xylem and primary phloem. And ground meristem develops into the cords and the pith. It forms the ground tissues comprising parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma cells. So, here is an example of a Hypericum urulum. We have shown the example of shoot apical meristem, and this has been taken from Encyclopedia Britannica. So the source provides information about certain types of it provides information about your apical meristems. That is your, here it is, you can see a procambium is there, here a ground meristem is present, and auxiliary bulb primordium is present, and even in the root, behind the root cap, you can see procambium, ground meristem, and protoderm is present. Here the protoderm is present in the pseudoapical meristem here. So how this development take place in the meristems? So there are actually many differences between the primary meristem and secondary meristems. So primary meristem involves in primary growth, secondary growth. Primary meristems, they derive from the embryonic tissues, secondary derive from the permanent tissue. Primary meristems are isodiametric cells, whereas secondary are either elongated, barrel shaped or rectangular shaped. Primary meristem cells do not contain vacuoles. The cell contain a number of vacuoles. They are present in apical meristem. They are present in lateral region. Primary growth of the plant occurs due to primary meristem. Secondary growth of the plant occurs due to secondary meristem. Longitudinal growth of plant or increase in plant's length occurs due to primary meristem. Lateral growth, that is plant increases in the width of the plant due to secondary meristem. Protoderm, procambium, ground stems are primary meristem, whereas vascular cambium and core cambium are secondary meristem. So what happens to cells formed by the meristematic tissue? They lose the ability to divide further and take a specific role. This process of taking away permanent shape, size and function is called differentiation, and the tissue formed is called permanent tissue. So there are two types of permanent tissue, simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Let's discuss about what simple permanent tissue is. So simple permanent tissues are made of one type cell which looks like each other, and there are three types of simple permanent tissue: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. So here is a picture showing the different types of simple tissues. In simple parenchyma tissues, the intercellular space is more, whereas it is very less in collenchyma cells, and in sclerenchyma cells there is no intercellular space. Let me explain it with the differences. That in parenchyma, cell walls are relatively thin and cells in parenchyma tissues are loosely packed. The cell wall in tissues is made of cellulose. In collenchyma, the cell wall is irregularly thickened at the corners and there is very little space between the cells. Pectin and hemicellulose are the major constituents of the cell wall. Sclerenchyma, the cell walls are uniformly thickened and there are no intercellular spaces. An additional layer of the cell wall composed mainly of lignin is found. So here is a picture of parenchyma with their special characteristics. So parenchyma, they are cube shaped or elongate. Live cells are there and are loosely packed. Large intercellular space they are having. Thin cell wall and unspecialized cells are there. Large central vacuole you can see here. Most abundant and the least specialized. They support storage and photosynthesis function, and when they does photosynthesis function, they are known as sclerenchyma. Large air cavities are present in aquatic plants, parenchyma, to give buoyancy to the plants so that it can float in water. So such parenchyma is called arenchyma. Example, a fleshy part of an apple or potato. Collenchyma, they are living and elongated. Very little intercellular space are there, and they are irregularly thickened at the corners, you can see here. Allows easy bending of leaf and stem without breaking, which occurs due to collenchyma tissue only. They provide mechanical support and flexibility to the plants. This collenchyma gives flexibility to plants. And they are present in leaf stalks below the epidermis. And they support growing parts of the plant. Example, tough strings on celery stalk. Sclerenchyma, they are mostly dead cells. They are long and narrow as was thickened due to lignin. No internal space inside the cell. Provide strength, make plant hard and stiff. Present in stems around vascular bundles, in leaves, veins, in hard covering of seeds and nuts, in husk of coconut shell, in peach pit, etc. They all are hardening is due to sclerenchyma. Now comes to complex permanent tissue. Complex permanent tissue are xylem and phloem. Xylem helps to take water and minerals from the soil and provide it to the leaves, whereas phloem it takes all the food produced by the leaves by the process of photosynthesis and it distributes it to different parts of the plant. So complex plant is made of more than one type of cells. On all these cells coordinate to form a common function. The important and complex tissue in vascular plant is xylem phloem, and both together are known as vascular tissues. So here xylem consists of trachea and vessels. They have their function. They allow them to transport water and minerals vertically due to their structure, you can see. Whereas xylem parenchyma, it has nucleus and cytoplasm. It stores food and sideways conduction of water. What are the elements of phloem? The phloem elements are sieve plate, sieve tube, phloem parenchyma, and companion cell. The function of phloem is to material can move in both directions in it. It transports food from leaves to the other plant part, and phloem cells are living except for the phloem fiber. They are dead cells. So what is the role of sieve plates in phloem? This is the sieve plates. These thin plates which separate neighboring phloem cells are perforated by a large number of tiny sieve pores are there, and are believed to play a crucial role in protecting the phloem sieve from intruding animals by blocking flow. By this blocking flow when phloem cell is damaged. Role of sieve tube elements. The sieve tube are living cell and they are responsible for transporting carbohydrate throughout the plant. And phloem parenchyma stores food material and other substances like resin, latex, and mucilage, you see here outside. And it also helps in translocation of food. It also helps in slow lateral conduction of food. Then role of companion cell. This is your companion cell by the side of the sieve tube. So it has a function to load and unload material into the sieve tube elements. Companion cells have a nucleus while sieve tube members do not have nucleus. They have the nucleus while sieve tube elements do not have nucleus. So how does companion cell help sieve tube? Sieve tube members do not have ribosomes or a nucleus, and thus need companion cells to help them function as transport molecules. So companion cells provide sieve tube members with protein necessary for signaling and ATP in order to help them transfer molecules between different parts of the plant. One thing we should note that except for phloem fiber, all phloem cells are living. So phloem fiber is also known as burst fiber or skin fiber. It is actually a plant fiber collected from the phloem or burst surrounding the stem of certain dicotyledonous plant. They support the conductive cells of the phloem and provide strength to the stems. They provide strength to the stem due to dead cells. So the few differences between simple and complex plant tissue. Simple are made of same, complex are made different. They present all parts of plant. They present some parts. They perform a variety of functions. Whereas complex tissue has the function to transport water, minerals, foods to different parts of the plant body. And simple tissue includes parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma, whereas complex tissue have xylem and phloem. So let me discuss a few about transport in plants. It is taken by xylem and phloem. So before that, we should know that what is transpiration. Transpiration is a process where water loss takes place from the leaves of the plant. And when water loss takes, it develops suction force, which pulls water absorbed by the roots to reach the leaves through the stems and branches. So in this way, the water is absorbed from the root hairs of the roots and it passes through xylem to the leaves of the plant. Then, through the process of photosynthesis in presence of carbon dioxide and water, food is produced, that is sugar is produced. The plants do not take sugar directly. Food is actually absorbed in the plants in the form of solution, that is glucose solution, and is transported by the phloem. This green color arrow is the phloem, and the living cell of the phloem helps it to flow to different parts of the plant, even to the roots. So you can see in the figure the root hair cell at the absorbed plants. Water is present in the space between the soil, and then it is transported to this xylem to the leaves of the plant due to presence of active transport. So what is this active transport? It allows plant to absorb minerals against concentration gradient, for which energy is needed, and then the plant gets this energy from where? Respiration. Next, so how this transport in plant xylem and phloem transport occurs, that I have explained you already, and this is active transport I have explained you. And to the process of osmosis, root hair absorbs water from the soil, and then from it is absorbed to the roots, and then through xylem it is transported to the leaves of the plant, and then food is produced in presence of photosynthesis, and then food is supplied to different parts of the plant. So why this transport is required? It is required to carry water and dissolved minerals absorbed by roots to the leaves by xylem, to carry food made in the leaves to all parts of the xylem, all parts of the plants, because except leaves no other plant parts can produce its food. Next, how water reaches from soil to xylem vessels and roots. So water is present in the soil. So what happened? And here water is present. So as we know that a plant is having so many roots. So how does so many roots helps? It helps to increase the surface area of the root in contact with the soil, due to which more and more water is absorbed by the roots at a rapid rate then due to osmosis. And then root hair absorbs it, and then water moves across the cortex cell, then to the phloem, and finally into the xylem vessel, which is present in the center of the plant, and to xylem it moves to the leaves of the plant. That is upward movement. This is all what I said. Next, now we have understood from the discussion that only one-way transport of water and minerals occurs in xylem, whereas in phloem two-way flow is there. And in xylem, water and minerals are absorbed from the roots, whereas in phloem, water and food is transported to the different parts of the plant, just like vehicle. And there is no end wall between the cells in xylem, whereas in phloem there is end walls, cells end walls with perforation, and there is thick walls different with lignin in the xylem vessel. So in conclusion, we should learn few keywords like chlorophyll. It is a green pigment found in plant cells that absorbs light energy from the sun. Chloroplast. It is the part of plant cells that contain chlorophyll. Xylem. It is vascular tissue that transports water and minerals from the roots up to the rest of the plant. Phloem. Vascular tissue that is food from leaves down to the rest of the plant. Photosynthesis. Plants make food from it. Respiration. It is a process in which organisms obtain energy from the food it produces, and for the functioning of plant parts, growth and repairing. Transpiration, that is water loss. Stomata, it is are tiny holes present in the leaves that allow carbon dioxide in and water vapor and oxygen out of the leaves. Root hair, there are tiny structure present in the plant roots which increases the surface area of the root to allow more water and nutrients to be absorbed from the soil. And guard cells that open and close the stomata to allow to prevent water loss from the leaves. So this is all for today about plant tissue and transport. Thank you, friends.